What's going on, guys? BladeZilla here, and today I've got another cool one for you from Shirogorov. This is the F95 NL in turquoise in the bear pattern. You will have seen, I hope, over the last little while that Shiro released the F95 in the bear pattern in, I think it was 3 different colorways, like a bronze, like a royal blue, and a stonewash kind of colorway. And then actually there was a Blade Show edition that was kind of a gold anno. Those are really sick too. I always forget about that one for some reason. Quick one. I think only 50 were made. And then recently, about a week ago or so, they launched this turquoise colorway, which, is not too far off from a stonewash, but there are obviously some real nice hints of that kind of turquoise or Tiffany blue kind of colorway that just pops off in certain light angles. And I figured I'd grab one and do a quick video talking about it on our normal Monday morning video here. So, I suppose you could be watching this at really any time of the week, but I'm filming it here for a Monday morning release. As a reminder, guys, check out BladeZilla.ca. That's my website here in Calgary, where a lot of the cool stuff that I have on the YouTube channel is featured on the website BladeZilla.ca. So just got in some cool Pro Techs, another batch there, some CKF, and a Mirror DLC. Really cool. Lots of Shirogorovs, lots of all kinds of good stuff, as my app is not really cooperating with me here. But yeah, some Chavez, the Q95s, still have those, had a little bit of a top up on those. Riet, Rockstead, Pro Tech, Microtech, all kinds of cool stuff on there on BladeZilla.ca. But we're not here to talk about BladeZilla.ca. We're here to talk about this gorgeous F95 in the bear pattern. And did I call it an F95 NL earlier? Jeez, I should preface this video by saying I just had my first newborn child, and I'm running on about an hour and a half of sleep right now. So if I'm mixing things up just for the next probably 3 months, just assume that I'm going to mix a lot of things up just because of a complete lack of sleep. So I apologize if I think I called it an F95 NL earlier, which clearly there's no inlay. NL meaning inlay. So anyway, F95 turquoise bear pattern. Super cool knife. Let's get some measurements and try to center this to the best I can with my eye on the little LCD screen here. We're coming in at 8 3/4 inches overall length. Blade length of sub 4 inches, sub 4 being a very key for a lot of markets. Over 4 is not allowable in some markets. So sub 4, about 3 7/8, but it's a 95, hence 95 in the name. F95 is 95 mil blade. And handle wise, we're at sub 5, kind of 4 7/8. And this one I don't think sticks out whatsoever. That's my new measurement, is I like to kind of measure it closed. And as you can see, the handle is no different in lengthwise because nothing really sticks out. So you're still at sub 5 inches. So there you go. And actually, there's this one that some people wanted to see. I don't know how big of a deal that is, but you can kind of eyeball it from there, whatever that is. Weight-wise on this turquoise knife, let's get my reliable scale here. And let's see, I'm trying to remember, were these sub 4? I can't really recall if they were sub 4. They feel pretty heavy. No, sub 5. 4.7 ounces, and you can kind of see it there. 0, come on. 4.7 ounces. So, considering it's just right around a 4-inch blade, or just under a 4-inch blade, really appropriate size-wise on this. Now, how do they accomplish that in such a small handle? Well, let's be honest, skeletonization's all over this knife. It's riddled with it. And that's kind of the beauty of Shirogorov, just in general. When you kind of get your first, you'll end up taking it apart, playing with it, flipping it all over the place. But the true beauty lies on the inside of these things, and I'm not qualified with my camera skills to show that, but hopefully you can kind of see there's a lot of big thick pockets of milling all throughout the inside of this, all over the place. Looks real nice. And we even have a little gap in that backspacer, which is real nice and tight. Whew, that's what she said. M390 blade on this particular one. In the bear patterns, I'm trying to think here, have they done anything other than M390? I don't think they have. I don't seem to recall any Magna Cut editions, but that may change through the year, you know, as the various shows come around, special edition launches, overseas shows. I imagine at some point there'll be something different than M390 floating around. It does run on their multi-row bearing system, MRBS, which should say on the inside of here, can we see if it wants to focus? It should say MRBS on there. It's usually right in here. Yeah, there it is. MRBS, multi-row bearing system, which is just like a, well, it's not just like, it's 3 bearings in a pinwheel pattern in a circle, kind of like this, like the rays of sun. And that adds side-to-side stability on the contact points between the blade and the handle. So real nice and tight these guys are from the factory. They use kind of like a greasy wax. If you do want to loosen them up, it's very easy to do by getting rid of that waxy grease. And actually, you can run these without anything. But, you know, some very light oil really tends to smooth these things up. Or flip them for a little while, and before you know it, they're broken in nice and smooth. So there's that MRBS multi-row bearing system, just terrific. The flipper tab on this guy, as you can see, in the F95 configuration is forward of center, so they really hammer out the nice audible click to that detent, which is quite strong. So quite nice. I'd say medium strong detent. So very nice. And remember, the F95 is Shirogorov's quote-unquote large Sebenza. It's their classic. It's their, I think, 12-year knife now. And, you know, when you think of Shiro and you want to try your first ever Shirogorov, you know, it's hard not to go with an F95. Some people might think they're a little big, but realistically, you're looking at blade dimensions and how that blade literally tucks into that handle. With millimeters to spare, you know, it's a really great size. And having carried Quantums, F95, Neons, Stellars, Astrums, they're all great. And the F95 is no different. So there you go. On that pocket clip, you can see some gorgeous milling as well. And this is a stonewash clip, so you can kind of see the difference between their standard stonewash and the turquoise in between the bear shield. Bear being the actual Shirogorov logo sans the facial features. So, but it's great to see some great milling detail work in here, as well as under the clip. And as you can tell, hopefully, the clip actually angles itself onto the frame versus the lock bar. So in hand, when you hold these guys, just keep your fingers on top of that clip, and all of that weight will be pushed onto this side of the frame instead of the lock bar, because you want to be able to open your knife. And as soon as you put pressure on that lock bar, this will not open. Keep that in mind. And I'll show you what I'm saying. If I'm just holding this in front of the clip, and I just hold it like this, I can't even get it to move. But if I move the hold back to the clip, lo and behold, 0 issues. So just kind of keep that in mind. The blade itself has this kind of cool, I've always called it the cockpit, kind of below the jimping there. It's a nice little design feature that adds a nice profile to the blade. The nose is shared with that neon, or I guess the neon might be shared with this, and that little kind of angled point in the front there. It's real nice. And then the jimping itself is shared, I believe, I'll double check, but it's shared on the back spacer here, so I'll put that sideways. So that pattern, Shiro really likes to match the jimping in the back spacer, which looks really good. Pretty usable. Big point of engagement on there as well, so you can kind of, you know, if you were to use this with a pair of work gloves, you know, you'd be all over the place and not have any issues. The top of the blade here, it's pinched in with a nice little swedge as you kind of go down the length of this, and then it expands up towards the tip, and that's to add some stability and support to the tip. So overall, terrific. Size-wise, actually, what other features? Oh, the clip attached internally. Notice how there's no screw on it. So to take that off, you actually have to take the knife apart, which is super, super simple with the use of the correct tools. Shirogorov bits, which you can get in a custom division format, you can get in the Cyber tool, you can get in pen tools, all kinds of stuff. But just keep that in mind. If you are not going to buy that, you can get away with like a folded credit card, a penny, that kind of thing. Just use something that's softer than the actual pivot material itself. So it is attached internally with one little screw in there, pretty simple. We have a lock bar insert / over travel stop. I don't know what material it's made of, but remember that material is there to wear before the frame or the blade does. So it's replaceable via that little Torx bit there. Pretty cool. And then the back spacer, tons of 3D milling on that to make a nice cool pinched in profile towards the tip. Hopefully you can see that, how the gear pattern kind of changes profile and it kind of goes from block, block, block into more of a pronounced tip and then right down into that lanyard hole, which is kind of countersunk and hidden from a side view. As you can see here, no lanyard hole, but there it is. So I love how they do that. It makes it really, really easy to attach a lanyard in there, and you're not fiddling with too much. And quite frankly, you can get quite a thick paracord or leather in there without too many issues. If you guys remember the Astrum Custom Division, that's what this colorway is really reminding me a lot of. Just that real nice, subtle, turquoisey Tiffany color. And I wasn't expecting that on this F95. It's quite nicely done. The more I look at it up close, you can see all the milling lines below the gear pattern as well, or the bear pattern. These are just littered with details up close that the camera doesn't necessarily show, but you get it in the right light with a pair of eyes that wants to look around and see the knife. Oh, it's gorgeous. And as you can see it as well, that F95, what was I going to say? That F95 profile up top as well, right? Just that constant milling, attention to detail all over it. And they like to mirror both sides, top and bottom there. Pretty cool. And then the bear, that's the Shiro bear, is on the handle instead of the blade. They used to kind of put it right here on the blade, and evidently it's in the cutting path, so now it's on the handle, which I've been a big advocate for quite some time. So size-wise, I guess we can do some comparisons there. Why not? We got time. We got time. What do we want to see? We'll start with an Astrum. This is a bronze Astrum M390, one of the more recent releases. Size-wise, you can kind of see in the handle more of a laid-back, less ergonomic profile to the handle, right? A little more laxed versus kind of that big milled in pocket there. So to me, the Astrum's always been a big neon, which is not a bad thing whatsoever. It's fantastic. And I've always asked the question, I want a liner lock neon. Give me a mini Astrum, essentially. I've done videos on this knife. I've done videos on, half a dozen other variants of the Astrum at this point. It's one of my all-time favorites. In fact, it was my 2024 production knife of the year. So they're terrific knives. But lengthwise, very, very similar, just a little more of a smaller blade profile height-wise, and then more of a thinned out kind of profile on that handle. Let's grab a Stellar here. Stellar is their medium-sized production knife, in that you get a fairly big handle on it, but I think it's an 85 mil blade, so 1 centimeter shorter. Nice medium size if you're kind of getting into Shirogorov. A lot of people start with the Stellar, and to me it's right between a Neon and an F95. So my question that I always ask is, what size is your hand? Because it could be a small hands big knife, or it could be a big hands small knife. To me, I prefer kind of sticking to one side or the other. Like the Stellar's great, I carry it all the time. But, you know, to me it doesn't really accomplish either having a big blade or a small carry size. It's just kind of doesn't do either well. I'd say it's just an in-between. And a lot of people really, really love that. And I do too. I carry it, like I said, all the time. But to me, the F95 is just a little bit bigger to carry, and you get that extra centimeter of blade, and it's just such a classic knife. But remember, I've got extra large sized hands, and I err to the larger end. Whereas other people, well, you know, the Stellar's as big as they're willing to carry, and there's nothing wrong with that either. Nothing wrong with that either. This is an EK Quantum E-Knives edition, which is a Quantum Ursus with an internally skeletonized profile with their hex or whatever EK handle profile that they call it. Something that I really dig about EK as well, and they're obviously a direct competitor, but I know that they've had some really cool special editions. I know they did a pink, like P-I-N-K, pink Quantum Ursus that was like for breast cancer awareness. And you know, it's stuff like that where it's like, you know, the people behind the knife and people behind the retailers that just kind of shine through and show you that the kind of people they are. And I think that's really cool. So hats off, kudos to E-Knives. Haven't met them personally, but I'm sure at some point we'll cross paths. Let's do the Bio from Shiro. This is a Sinkovich design, Bio Dark, super cool. They do it in a Bio Light as well, and I've had videos on both on the channel over the years. Great knives, and the whole key to this one is it kind of gives you like a rib cage design in the milling pattern that kind of pronounces itself at certain angles. Hopefully you can kind of see it in a blocky pattern in the middle there. Just kind of move it around. So from one angle it's just profile milled, and then that rib cage pops out. It's so cool. Gorgeous, gorgeous knife. Let's do some more Shiros here. Let's do the Loxa, Scott Cook Loxa. First Integral from Shiro in ever. And very similar size-wise actually to an F95, both in height, length, blade length, everything. Very, very similar, but being an integral. And this one's actually running on phosphor bronze washers instead of bearings. I did an hour-long video on this knife. So if you want to hear me ramble for an hour about being an absolute Shirogorov whore, then that video is for you. Personally, I love it. That's why I have one. And don't see myself ever getting rid of one of these. They're just so nice and becoming very, very difficult to find already. Because I think there was there 100 of those? I can't remember. That would sound about right. Maybe 150. I'd have to look at the milling. Okay, Shirogorov. Let's do a Hattie. This is an F95 with a carbon front scale, essentially. But as you can see, profile-wise, size-wise, it's the same knife. This one's a couple years old. COVID, what's it called? Copper, what is this? I think it's a blade show knife with a copper backspacer, which is why I kept it. Just kind of cool uniqueness to it. So pretty cool. And then why don't we do one more oddball one, the Shirogorov, and I'm going to open this one up with the mic. And that is the Fat Strip, FAT, which is just a weird knife because it's taller profile carry wise than the F95 in hand. It's got a 5mm thick blade with a short little length to it, smaller than the Stellar. It's just a total opposite of the Astrum, Astrum being a long handled blade with a thin carry profile to it, thin blade. This is just the opposite. Thick blade, thick handle, short blade, short length. So just a real cool one. I did another video on this this exact knife for just 45 minutes, an hour, where I talk about it, break it down, and they're truly so cool. They did a thinner version of this called the Fit Strip, and I suspect there might be a third coming, but really cool knives. Get them while you can. I know there's a bunch more of the Fit Strip than the Fats, so they're still floating around, easy to grab now, but that will likely change over the coming months. And then the RJ Martin Russian Overkill, super classic. Haven't been really throwing this one in the videos quite often, but there you go. For a nice comparison, that's an RJ Martin M398, I believe, version of an Overkill from RJ Martin. So pretty cool. This particular one needs a little love from the boys in the factory, as the hardware needs a little, well, needs new hardware. That's about it. So there you go. There's your Russian Overkill and a nice little comparison. And I'll grab my Zahn, because people love that knife, so we'll throw a Zahn on here as a size comparison for the Chris Reeve fans. This is an S45 VN variant with a sandblasted handle, I believe, or what do they call it, a bead blast? Not a glass blast, just a standard blast. So it's got some nice texture to it, but just base model Zahn. Perfect for me. That's my style. Okay, so I think that is all we're going to compare. So where do we kind of go from here? Well, fit in hand. Remember what I said? I'm an extra large glove, and I've got an extra whole finger's worth on the back here. So you don't know where to use it with gloves, you certainly can. No issues. They're, you know, the high-end production stuff from Shiro make great EDCs. They're well built, hold great edges, great ergonomically, super reliable, and will be passed down for years and years. They're just that well done. So I highly encourage you guys, check these guys out. Check out the bear pattern. It's got all the tick boxes of Shiro's high-end production knives. It's got all the latest technology, the CPS, etc., the MRBS, captive pivot system, thinner blade stock than previous. It's an absolute workhorse. And now we've got another colorway in the turquoise, which just adds a little more flavor to that kind of mix. If you're into it, you know, and you want a little bit of that Astrum custom division colorway kind of hidden in the plain sight, then it's terrific. If you want a stonewash, get that. If you want the royal blue, get that. If you want gold, get that. If you want the bronze, go for that. It's all about customization to what you like, and Shiro's been knocking it out of the park. And it's features like, look at the pivot. See how they mill around that pivot? And they add some stability to it. It's just a very thoroughly thought out design. You don't see that every day. Or on the hardware, sorry, not pivot. On both sides. Just, I'm telling you, get a Shiro, crack it open, take a look at it, and your biggest problem will be you'll end up with 10 more of them in the next year because they're just that well done. They're kind of addictive. Speaking from complete experience. I think that might be it. We're probably 20 minutes in, and that's kind of all I wanted to do on this one. I'm still trying to get all of the colorways on their own videos, so I think I might have one or two to kind of go, but the turquoise being the newest, figured it's easiest while I'm taking photographs of one to at least chat about it. Talk about that gorgeous stonewash and that shield and the colorways and the MRBS and the clip. Oh, I could just go on and on. But we have times for that, and I think that 20 minutes has passed. So there you go. That is the F95 bear pattern in turquoise, not the F95 NL. I apologize about that, but I am still trying to catch up on sleep, which you know, should only take a couple more years. And otherwise, check out BladeZilla.ca for more on this knife, other knives as well, as I mentioned earlier. TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Threads. I can be found all over the place. But more than anything, check out the site or send me a note. And love chatting blades. So, and if you're on the YouTube right now, throw a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe every Monday, Thursday, 7 a.m. Eastern for more. I tried to do the longer version stuff Monday, Thursdays, which has kind of been a trend for about a year now, year and a half, somewhere in there, pretty consistently. So I guess that's my schedule. Otherwise, I guess we'll catch you on the next one, and appreciate you stopping by. All right, guys. Later. Peace.